Thank you. When I was kind of setting up doing this, they were like, why don't we do it up in Seattle where you're from? And I was like, well, where's a place just as close where cousins that I don't want to see won't come? Portland, Oregon. Crazy Keith won't make it out tonight. I love Keith. Not at my shows. I mean, I guess I just want to be honest about who I am. I'm Nick. I'm a 36-year-old white male. Just living the struggle. You know, it's tough out there in Portland. Well, thank you guys for being here. That means so much. And I want to be a good guy. And that should be your first clue that I'm a bad guy. Good guys don't say that. They're just that. So the fact that I'm striving for something that I'm not, that, you know, is a good sign. It's a great sign, right? Yeah. That's actually my wife's handwriting. So when I asked her to do that, what I was really it's basically her signing off on me being a good guy without her knowing it. She was like, oh, I gotta write something in neon? I'm like, well, I just kind of want to make sure we remember what you wrote. But I want to be a good guy. And the thing about being a good guy is you can't just gather your friends up and say, hey guys, I'm gonna do a 180. Thanks for coming out to Denny's. I just wanted to open it up with that. And if you guys could just mention that to everybody forever, I'd appreciate it. You can't do it that way. What you do is you make good decisions over time and you hope that people notice. And they think, you know what, he used to not pick me up from the airport because he told me I wasn't an adult, because I should just figure rides out. But this time he almost did. And that's what being a good person is, being there for your friends and family. And it just is choices over time to make you a better person. So the first decision that I made to be a good guy is I decided to quit smoking marijuana. Illegally. And I got my pot card. Because, well, I live in California right now where, you still have to lie to doctors. And the thing about it is they say it's so easy. You go into the doctor and you say, my back hurts or I've got anxiety, and they just want you to smoke weed. And so I went into a doctor and said, I've got anxiety that someday my back might hurt. And he said, dude, that's a serious issue. A lot of people your age are dealing with that right now. Let's cut that off before it starts. And he gave me a weed card. Because I think scumbags go to drug dealers, but good guys lie to doctors. And so there I am. I've got my weed card. The feeling of having your weed card, I've just ran out into the streets of LA like, where are we? Where are we going? And there's weed stores everywhere, and I picked one and I hoped it was the right one, and I go in and it was, because there was weed there. And if you've never been into a weed store, the best way to describe it is that it's like every store you've ever been in, but all weed, right? And so they've got everything. They've got like weed water, weed sodas, trail mix, lip balm, lotions. And they even just have this little area in the corner where they just have weed. Like what our forefathers used to smoke. And I'm an old-fashioned guy. I like to smoke weed. I like to smoke a weed. It is a saying that I have coined. So I bought some weed to smoke and I said, thank you so much. And I turned to walk out and it didn't feel real. I just bought drugs and I was able to walk outside. And I turned to walk out, and with drugs in one hand and a hand on a doorknob to freedom, from over my shoulder I hear, oh, Mr. Thune, one more thing. And that's the moment that you realize it's been a 6-year sting operation focused on me. And there's like 8 cops out in a van like, I didn't think you'd fucking do it. We're going home. Jason, you're gonna meet your daughter. And I turn around just where's the handcuffs? Just break them out. And she doesn't have handcuffs. She's actually holding a weed brownie. And she says, Mr. Thune, I know it's your first time here, and it's a cutthroat business out there. We're glad you chose us, and we hope you keep coming back. And to show our gratitude, here's a free weed brownie. And she handed me a weed brownie that was about the size of a VHS tape. And I know this is streaming and there's younger audiences. It's like 4 Apple TVs. Same amount of content. And I'm holding the weed brownie and I'm looking at it, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't like to eat weed brownies because I don't like to feel like I'm dying all the time. But we all learned in elementary school, you never say no to drugs. You accept the drug. You either learn to like it or you give it to your best friend on his wedding day. And so I accepted the weed brownie and I said, thank you so much, thank you. Someday. And I turned to walk out. And as I turned to walk out and I had my hand on the door again, she said, oh wait, Mr. Thune, I almost forgot. One more thing. And that's the moment you realize that they just planted more drugs on me. The guys in the band are like, I didn't think you'd do that. Offer him Coke. See what he says. Tell him there's hookers in the back. And I turn around just call my wife, tell her it's over. Just take me away. And she says, what I almost forgot to tell you is make sure and only eat an eighth of it. And I was like, an eighth of it? And she was like, I mean, yeah, basically what you want to do, okay, what you want to do is first off, you just want to break it up into halves. And then what you're going to want to do is, you want to break both those up into halves. And then at that point, and I was like, oh, no, I know fractions. Oh, God, I am so sorry I didn't stop you. I didn't know you were defining fractions. I was just curious as to how you almost forgot to tell me that I might die. But thank you so much. Thank you. Someday. And I took the weed brownie and I took it home. And when I got home, I put the weed brownie in a backpack. And you guys, that's not me bragging. We've all got backpacks. You know, I'm not trying to act like I'm better than you. Oh, the big guy who moved to LA has backpacks now. I just have a backpack that I'll keep drugs in every now and again. And I put it in there and I thought, someday. And then I moved on with my life. And then later that night, I took all the weed that I had bought just to smoke and I took it over to a friend's house. And me and him smoked all of that weed in his backyard like responsible 36-year-old men do on a Tuesday every now and again. We were playing pinball in his backyard. He has a pinball machine back there, just outside. Because in California, you can just put stuff outside. And it's so close to you guys. What if you could put your stuff outside? It's an interesting sell for California. They're all moving up here. You guys can put your stuff outside down there. Think about it. So we're out there playing pinball, and then I had that moment around midnight, that moment where your heart sinks into your stomach and my phone. I'd put my phone over on a bench about 2 hours ago, and for 2 hours, I'd just been sitting there living my fucking life. And you see your phone, it's just like, oh my God, what happened? What's going on? And there it is, I've missed 5 phone calls from my wife. And it didn't feel that important. So I hop back onto the pinball machine and I keep playing pinball, and then I hear the 6th phone call coming in. And you guys, if you know me, you know that I get the 6th phone call every fucking time. That's a guarantee. So I pick up the phone, and before I can say a word, it's Suzanne on the other end just screaming, what the fuck was in your backpack? What the fuck did you put in that backpack? And when you're as high as I am, and somebody calls you and they're angrily yelling about backpacks in a very accusatory manner, in my stoned brain, all I could hear was her questioning my backpack knowledge. All I could hear was, "You don't know shit about backpacks. You're not the man I married." And I'm just like, "Whoa, Suzanne, you called the wrong guy. You know I know about backpacks. And you used to have a JanSport back when we met, when you were fucking real. Where's that JanSport at, Suzanne?" And then it just gets real quiet, and my friend Cameron's in the corner just like, "Yeah, dude, yeah. Tell Suzanne hey for me, too." And then this is the moment where everything is like, wait, what are we yelling about? What's happening right now? Is this Suzanne? Like, a lot of thoughts going through my head. And then in that moment, Suzanne said, in the most calm manner, "Whatever was in your backpack, Mikey ate." Mikey's our 36-pound French bulldog. I am Mikey's 185-pound owner. 90. 190. I'm 6'4". Mikey's like dog height. I was supposed to eat an eighth of it. Mikey ate the whole goddamn thing. Because Mikey likey. And I told him, when you go hard, buddy, every time. And as all of that was processing in my head, my wife, who is living the worst life with the worst husband, just said, "Just get the fuck home." And she hung up, and I just sprung into action. I looked at my friend and I said nothing, and I ran to my car. And when I got to my car, I ran back into my friend's house, and he helped me find my car keys for about 10 minutes. Found my car keys, ran back out to the car, got in the car, drove home, and I did not listen to any music on that drive home because I didn't deserve it. Because the new responsible Nick doesn't just flip on tunes when he's in trouble. He thinks about what he did. And he might not be able to figure out the stereo at that moment. So I drove home, and when I got home, I pulled into our driveway, and the best way to describe our driveway is it's curved, so as you pull in at night, your headlights wipe the house, right? Just like, shoo. And there, at the end of the wipe, was the end of the driveway where my wife's car was parked. And for that moment, I could see her face. And the only way to describe the look that was on her face is divorce. Parked my car, got out, ran around, and there's Mikey just sprawled out in the back seat of her car. And the only way to describe how high Mikey was is Burning Man high. He's like a dog that's been stuck at a hippie festival in the Nevada desert for 14 days, and he just needs a ride home. And he's not even sure he's a dog anymore. And he's wearing pants. Did Mikey buy pants? Did he have money at some point? These are kind of, turns out he couldn't hold his pee in. So she just put my favorite pair of pants on him. That were not at the top of the drawer. She fucking dug those out. Which I deserved. So I hop in the back seat with Mikey, because there's no way I'm gonna sit up front with an angry pregnant lady. I hadn't even mentioned she's pregnant. Edit that out. Let's just say she's sober. I think it's better for the story, for me. So I hop in the back seat with Mikey. We got a real angry sober lady up front, and she backs out of the driveway and starts driving to the vet in a way that is exciting. It's like, "This is the woman I married. You drive like this forever. This is exciting." And I'm in the back seat, and all of a sudden, it feels like a cool stoner buddy comedy adventure. Like, I'm James Franco, and he's Seth Rogen, and who knows what's gonna happen. We know Judd Apatow's on board. And we are driving, and halfway to the vet, she realizes that I am as high as the dog is. And it was subtle. It was just, I had my head out the window. I married a smart woman because most simpletons would just roll the window up. But it's actually a two-step process for a genius. She locked the windows and then rolled it up. Caught a lot of chin, good amount of hair. And then she said, as the window was up and I was sitting back there slightly confused, she said, Nick, I just want to know. I just have a question. I just want to know if this is you. Is this who you are? Is this the man I married? Who's going to be a father? Who's a dog owner? My husband? Is this who you are? And it's just like, you're fucking bumming me out right now. I am really stoned. And anybody that's ever smoked weed before, you know that you could go down two paths right there. The darkest path ever, or want to be better. And I wanted to be better. And so we got to the vet, and I grabbed Mikey, and I ran like it was Boys in the Hood, and my best friend's been shot. I get to the front door of a 24-hour vet, and I kick it open, and me and my stone dog enter extremely loudly into a very quiet and somber waiting room to a 24-hour vet. People are sitting in this waiting room whose animals are currently dying. And Mikey is living for the first time. And what do you do? What do you do in that situation? And I'll tell you what you do is you fill out a shitload of paperwork. And it's questions like, what's your dog's name? And honestly, who fucking cares? His name's Dog. Fix Dog. Dog. What's his birthday? Oh. Who wrote this? I don't know Abraham Lincoln's birthday. You think I know this turd's birthday? One of them freed slaves. The other one eats human shit whenever he has an opportunity. Happened twice, worst 2 days of my life. I don't know his birthday. So I just put my dad's. It's May 17th, 1950. He's an old dog, he's doing great. If there's anything you're gonna say about us as dog owners, he's doing pretty good. Next question, what's your name? Okay. All right. I guess I'll take this one left-handed. Nick Thune threw the pen, went for a high five. Suzanne didn't care. And then they take us back to the room. So this assistant walks us back and they put us in this small room. Suzanne sits back in the corner. A lot of anger. Real quiet. I'm in the middle of the room holding Mikey. Still have a pretty good buzz going. And that's the moment that the vet walks into the room. And this is the order in which it happens. She's bouncing from room to room. Animals are dying everywhere. She's flipping through paperwork. She doesn't have time to look at paperwork before she comes in. She comes in the room just buried in the paperwork and she goes, oh my God, Nick Thune. Looks up, realizes the tension. Oh, sorry, I saw your name. I'm a big fan of your comedy. This is crazy. Anyway, so what's going on with Dog? Oh, two horrible things just happened. One, Suzanne just realized I wrote down our dog's name as Dog. Two, this person likes me, actually thinks I'm a good guy. Suzanne's in the corner just like, what? What is my life? The vet's looking at me like kind of getting it, like, you fucking rascal. But the vet's a pro, she pushes through it. She goes, okay, well, how much weed did he eat? And I was like, I'm probably the only one that knows that. Standard VHS size brownie. And then she said, did he eat the whole thing? And that's when I said, knowing him, he probably put a little aside for later. To which she laughed out loud at because she should have, because she's a fan, and I gave her everything she wanted. That was some off-duty, pro bono, off-the-clock shit. Just like, oh, you like my stuff? There you go, babe. That one's for you. And she's looking at me like, you're the fucking best. And I'm looking at her like, if this doesn't work out, you and me forever. And in that moment, Suzanne takes the car keys out of her purse and throws them across the room, and they hit me in the side of the head, and she says, go wait in the fucking car. Freeze frame. That's it. That's the 25-minute story I'm opening my special with. Think about it. Think about it for just a second, though. What just happened? What just happened? If you look at that moment for just a second, just that whole moment, that freeze frame, and think, who's in the room? Who do we got? We've got Nick. We've got a fan, right? We've got not a fan, for good reasons. What happened there? And I think if you ask most people, they'll say, well, you're an asshole and she was angry. But if you surround yourself with yes people, what I think really happened there is she was basically saying, hey, big guy, you're fucking killing it in here. This is why I married you. Get outside, have a cigarette. I'm gonna handle all this adult bullshit. They're probably gonna keep Mikey overnight. We can go home, enjoy ourselves without this creep watching us for once. So anyway, Mikey got sober 2 days later. And he's been sober about a year now, and we are just so proud of him. So there's some mistakes that I've made, right? You could look at that and think, well, a couple things came together that nobody could have foreseen, but those aren't the choices I want to make. And as I look through my life and I wonder, what are the choices that I have made? It's not a good record. 16 years old, I got my driver's license, borrowed my mom's car, drove straight to Claire's and said, put some fucking holes in my ears. Give me some earrings. And now here I am, a 36-year-old man, 20 years later, with holes in my ears. There's no small group for that. Other guys my age dealing with the same thing. When I was 17 years old, I got kicked out of high school and sent to a lockdown drug and alcohol facility in Gresham. When I was 17. That's Oregon, that's lockdown. That's not like in Washington where you can just kind of walk out and be like, yeah. My parents had caught me drinking upwards of 5 times. I was sharing a room with a guy my age that had blown another guy for meth. It was a weird month. Learned a lot about drugs. I came home like, that's the fucking coolest camp you could have ever sent me to. I learned more about drugs than I should have. I want to try LSD. What's cocaine like? Like, I've never even heard of this stuff. When I was 18, on my birthday, I got a tattoo on my back. Basically to say, like, screw you, Mom and Dad, I'll do what I want. But instead of actually saying that, it's just Hebrew writing that says, the Lord is my shepherd. I'm not Jewish. What the fuck was I thinking? For the rest of my life, poolside, at beaches, I'm walking around and there's like 8 elderly Jewish people like, what does that say? Son, slow down, we can't read it. It's like, get away. It's my Wi-Fi password, get out of here. In my young 20s, I got my left nipple pierced in Barcelona. What? Yeah, I just met a girl. She was like, let's get our nipples pierced. And in my mind, I was like, oh, that means she wants to show me her nipples. No. Turns out we had 2 separate appointments and I went first. And the thing about getting your nipple pierced, you're not hanging out to see anything else. You're outside vomiting. Cut to 5 days later, getting it surgically removed at a hospital because my body was growing around it. The 3 shirts that I was traveling with were marked forever. So bad choices, I've made a few. Since I'm kind of have a history of making bad choices in a business like mine, one bad choice can just throw you off. You know, you're done. One bad tweet, one whatever, you just do something stupid, it's on camera. You say something like grab him by the pussy, which is something that nobody would ever, logistically ever be able to come back from. Like even one day. But if at any point you say something that is, whatever I could say, it all could come crashing down on me. And I don't know, I don't know what I would do next. I don't know what, because I don't have a college degree. I didn't go to college. I'm ashamed of that. I was embarrassed about it when I was younger. And I know you're all thinking, you didn't go to college. Where'd you get your glasses? I didn't go to college. A lot of people, when I was 18 out of high school, they decided to go to college, and I took the other obvious route, which was mowing lawns and DJing weddings and bar and bat mitzvahs. You got your Monday through Friday mowing lawns, and you got your Friday night through Saturday night fucking partying, introducing the best man. Also learning a lot about Jewish culture. So what would I do if things didn't work out? I have no education. And I was pondering that recently on stage with no real answer up in Seattle. And afterwards, this kid approached me and said, hey, man, it's actually not true. You did go to college. And I was like, what? I mean, are you trying to do like a motivational thing or like life is college? What are you doing here? And he said, no, we went to the same college, Bellevue Community College. And I was like, oh, you mean BCC? That's not a college. And if you don't know what a community college is, it's basically a place where adults hang out. Like 18-year-old kids that are just out of high school that are unaware of what their future is, and 46-year-old moms that are just like, get me the fuck out of this house for an hour every day. And those people are sitting next to each other in class. And that's what a community college is. It's a great place for people in the community to wait for their next job. So I did go to BCC, and I was like, I'm surprised you know that because you seem a lot younger than me. And he goes, well, of course I know it because you are a notable alumni. And then he showed me their website and their Wikipedia page. And yeah, sure enough, I am listed as a notable alumni at Bellevue Community College. Yeah. I'll tell you right now, being a notable alumni at a community college means more to me than any bachelor's degree out there. And I know that when they gave it to me, they overlooked the fact that I went there for less than 1 semester. And that I got a non-complete in all 3 classes that I took. Non-complete. And I wondered, well, who are my peers? Who else could be a notable alumni of BCC? Turns out there's just 2 of us. Me and Jim Caviezel. Who's Jim Caviezel? I think that's a great question from everybody. Jim Caviezel played Jesus in Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ. Yeah. Mel Gibson, our best Christian, scoured the earth and found one man to best represent Jesus Christ. So who are the notable alumni at BCC? Nick Thune and Mel Gibson's Jesus. Yeah. It's a big honor. It's a big honor. And I wondered, what did I do that was notable? What could I have done that meant anything? And then it hit me. At a community college, people are coming from so many different backgrounds, they don't know what you know, and they just can't place you into a class. So they do a placement test. It's a 2-hour test, called an English placement test, and it kind of covers everything. And they just want to know what you know. They don't want to put you above or below what you're capable of. 2-hour test. I sat down, 5 minutes into it, I gave up. I didn't take tests well in high school. That's why I had a D average. You're really gonna start off community college with a 2-hour one? So 5 minutes in, I just started circling the hardest questions, maybe that's the test. 20 minutes into the test, I'm done, turn it in. Everyone else in the class is like, look at this fucking genius. And I'm just like, yeah, see you at school, dorks. This is gonna affect my future in a bad way. That I'm still unaware of. Cut to 2 months later, school starts. My first class, Monday through Friday, every day. English 072. English 072. I didn't think much about the number. You know, I've heard of 101. Maybe it goes backwards. I don't know. When I walked into my class, I immediately felt different than everybody. And then I immediately realized that I had been placed into an English as a second language class. That because of my placement test, they put me into an ESL class, which means I did so good on that test that they thought I was fluent in a foreign language. A week into the class, the teacher's like, hey man, I don't think you're supposed to be in here. And I was just like, yeah, I don't think that's your fucking call. Because to be honest, I feel like a leader for the first goddamn time in my life. All these guys are looking up to me. Just let it happen. I'm not gonna last more than 2 weeks. We're fine, get out there. So what would I do? What could I do? No education. What's the next career? And then it hit me. Plan B. I could be a youth pastor. I could walk into any church in this country, Christian, non-denominational, Methodist, doesn't matter, and just based on how cool I look, hired. Oh, cool beard. You're in, buddy. We gotta fire 2 guys, but you're in. And here's why I think I could do it, because there's this pastor right now that's like the most popular pastor, like for a lot of celebrities, young, hip-looking dude. Like, you see him on stage wearing ripped-up jeans and leather jackets and fake glasses. It's like, I could do that. Just put contacts on and buy a pair of fakies, no problem. Gotta buy a leather jacket, never really jumped into that, but I could do it, you know? I've just never found the right jacket. It's 36, there's a lot of time, but I think I could do that. Because I watched his sermon. Just one quick sermon, just watched about 30 seconds of it. He's performing in front of 20,000 people. The video's been viewed millions of times. And here's how he opens his sermon. He says, I'll never forget when I was 5 years old and I got lost at a grocery store. Have you ever felt lost? Pause. I can do that. He just took a fake memory. There's no way he has that memory. And even if he did get lost in a grocery store when he was 5, it was probably in a nice suburban town and a better family might have found him. But he took that memory and tried to compare it to somebody who feels disconnected to society, who feels lost. Lost from God or from family, people that are struggling. And he just tried to compare that. And I thought, well, there's no way that's gonna work. If it does, I'm in, but we'll see. Unpause, cut to the audience. They're not walking out. They're actually applauding, saying, I felt lost too. Oh. So there I am. I got hired at a church based on how cool I look. And I got about 5 days to get my first sermon together. And your first sermon, you want to make it good. They're going to start me out in the youth group with the kids. That's fine, you know. So you put the sermon together, and they start the service. There's probably some band on stage playing some worship song like Nothing But the Blood of Jesus or something creepy. And as they're playing that song, I finish up a quick cigarette outside. And I just kind of stand in the corner as they finish the song up and lean against a wall. And the kids are all just like, who the fuck is that guy? Some kid's like, what do you mean, who? And he goes, the fucking dude in the sunglasses. And I'm like, actually, they're transitions. Give them about 10 minutes. And then the band finishes and I come up on stage and, you know, there's the guy with the acoustic guitar. They're all mediocre musicians. And I'm just like, you know, let me borrow that guitar. Why not? That's what happens when you have a really famous guitar tech. Hey guys, I'm Pastor Nick. I know you're wondering, what happened to Pastor Jeff? Where's Pastor Brian? Which statistically are their names. Don't worry about them. They're gonna be all right. Before we get into it, let's bow our heads. Let's pray. Dear Jesus. Oh, you. You son of a God. Dear Jesus, I want to thank you for these noodles. Ramen. You guys, I love ramen. I'm a cool dude. I make a pour over every morning. Let's hang out, you know? Yeah, I like cold brews. I'm Pastor Nick. Open up your Bibles and then close them. We've all read it. You know? Let's think about it in a different way. How about? Open up your iPhones. What? Oh, cool pastor alert. Yeah. I love smartphones. Open them up. Open up Google Maps. Because in the beginning, Google created Earth. Just kidding, it's a Pastor Nick joke. They did maps and then Earth. Seriously, open up Google Maps, and what I want you to do is I want you to hit that little translucent compass in the bottom right-hand corner. And when you hit that little translucent compass, what's it gonna give you? It's gonna give you your current location. And what I want you to know is that Jesus, Christ, is in all of our current locations. What? What? I don't know. Almost makes too much sense. And I know Trent's in the back. He's got T-Mobile. He's got no service. You're going to hell, Trent. But seriously, I'll never forget when I was 2 years old. I'll never forget it. I was 2 years old. I was playing with my biggest toy. And it slipped out of my little baby hands. And it landed on my big toe. Later that day, that toenail fell off. Have you ever lost a loved one? Like a mom or a dad? Because I love that toe. Thank you guys, I'm Pastor Nick. It's weird when you tape a special. It's like permanent, you know? So like the whole time I'm like, good posture. Push your butt in, suck in. You're sweating, stop fucking sweating, dude. It's not gonna look good. I think it's going pretty well. Thank you. Well, I'm so appreciative of you guys coming out. I'm like scared of saying words wrong. It's so frustrating. Like, I think this is a good stance for me. And if we do have a camera, let's just cover. That could be a good cover. Actually, you know what? Let's commit to it right now. That's the cover. All right. So, I brought up earlier, I brought up something that's pretty major. I brought up my wife being pregnant, and that's a pretty big deal. And yeah, it is. It changes your life in every angle. And And we've all, like, some of you guys might have had babies, or you've seen, like, movies or TV, or you're aware that there's babies out there. And the thing about it, we see and we hear the same thing over and over again. It's just so cliche, but it's so easy to say, and everyone says it. They say, I don't care if it's a boy or a girl, I just want a healthy baby. And the first thing that I said was, I mean, I'd take an unhealthy boy. I want my King Joffrey, I want him now. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. I married my sister. Some people are fans, some people just live it, you know? I'm on the living it side. I wanted a boy, and that's the last thing that I'm gonna bring up that I'm fully ashamed of. That misogynistic thought of wanting a boy. Like, why? What? Because I'm a firstborn, you know, and my family was great, and I want to replicate that, and that's how you start, right? And then you start kind of justifying this misogynistic point of view where you're saying stuff like, well, it's like, I mean, I don't want a girl because they're just so goddamn smart, you know? I just want a little dum-dum running around. But I did want a boy. And the thing is, you've usually got to wait about 12 weeks, and you go to the hospital, and they can do an ultrasound or a sonogram and tell you the sex of the baby. Well, the thing is I didn't have 12 weeks. I needed to know sooner. Turns out at 10 weeks, you could go to a drugstore. I think CVS is probably top of the line. So I chose a CVS, and at this drugstore, you can buy a test that your wife has to pee into, so you know, don't make that mistake. Then you gotta buy another one. The guy behind the counter is like, sir, you just bought the same thing. We don't have to ring it back up. I'm like, yeah, but then, remember when I borrowed the bathroom key? Just fucking ring it up, Jeff. Geoff. Oh, no. That's not real. That's not real. Spelling it wrong. So Jeff rings me out, and I take the test home, and my wife pees into it. And because of the color that it turns, it tells us that we're having a boy. And I, celebrated. And that's, even though on the box it said it was a 50-50 shot. I believed in the brand. I believe in CVS. More than that, I believe in Jeff. And yeah, we have had our times. But I believed it. And then I moved on. And then 2 weeks later, we go to our first doctor's appointment at this big hospital in Los Angeles. And we go in, and they take you up to a room, and they put this beautiful gown on your wife. It's totally backless and just gorgeous. And they put her on this table, and they lay her down, and this doctor takes a device, and he starts moving it around on her stomach to get an image of the baby, right? And after about a minute, he says, hey guys, the good news is healthy baby, heartbeat, everything, great. Bad news is we're not gonna get a good image because the baby's just so small still. We're not gonna get a good image from the outside. Now, key word there is outside. Because he then took the exact same device and inserted it into my wife's vagina. We're talking something roughly 3 times the size of Dick's. And it's like, she's not even supposed to know that's a possibility. Okay, but insurance is covering it. I'm not a monster, enjoy it. Just don't get used to it. Because you're coming back to old sturdy Nick, who's a hard worker. Sometimes he clocks out early, you know? And that's because he's excited to be there. So now my wife is being penetrated in front of me, and all of a sudden, these 3 big screen TVs just light up on the wall. I didn't even know they were there. When I walked in, I was like, oh, those are cool artsy black paintings. But now it's 3 big screen TVs that are airing the inside of my wife, like the worst sports bar you've ever been to. And we're just looking at these TVs, and then all of a sudden he freeze frames it, and he says, hey guys, great news. I've got a great image of the baby, and I can tell you what the sex is. And that's when everything inside of me, even though I wasn't allowed to talk because of what happened at the vet, I jump up, and I'm just like, actually, doctor, I'm Nick. I haven't even said hi yet. I'm the creator. And I just wanted to say that I actually already bought a test at a drugstore, CVS. One of the best. And she peed into it and it told us we were having a boy. So anyway, just wanted to let you know before you kind of spoiled it. Sit back down, the doctor goes, oh my God, Nick, wow. It's so great to meet you. I want to introduce myself. I'm a doctor. And you're having a girl. Because I'm a doctor. And then my wife got so excited and him and her started talking about, I have no idea, as I stared at these 3 big screen TVs looking the hardest I've looked for a dick in my whole life. Just looking for baby dicks. Like the most perverted game of Where's Waldo you've ever played. And 2 minutes into it, I see one and I stop everything and I say, doctor, isn't this a penis? Which is something we've all said. The doctor looked at the screen and then looked at Suzanne and said, if he thinks that's a penis, then I want to know who got you pregnant. Like I just stepped into my own Comedy Central roast. And Dr. Rickles was like, oh, I'll take the next one. Burn! She's belly laughing, high-fiving the doctor like, he doesn't know what dicks look like. And I'm just sitting in the corner like, what the fuck just happened? And then the appointment was over. And we drove home, and my wife has never been happier. We're gonna have her princess. And I'm thinking, she keeps saying princess. I'm like, I wanted a king. Or a queen, it's up to him. You want a princess? Let's take it up a level, all right? I know they've got to start somewhere, but... And then we start running into friends and family, and this is the time of the pregnancy where it's actually really exciting. It's not a secret anymore. You can start telling people, and my wife is so excited, and we run into people we know, and she's like, we're having a baby, and it's a girl. And I'm right behind her like, we don't really know that for sure. And then she turns around, she's like, Nick, I swear to God, do not tell the story. And it's like, oh, sorry guys, Suzanne's kind of nagging on me right now because I've got this great story about a doctor who questioned my dick knowledge. She doesn't want me to tell it, but I kind of think you guys really want to hear it. And then at that point, it's too late, and they're all just like, tell us more. And Suzanne's just sitting over there like, oh, no. And then I go into a 10-minute diatribe where I break it all down. At one point in public or at a family event, I'm screaming out, you don't think I know what a dick looks like? I've seen Sean Kemp's dick. Which I have seen his dick. And if you don't know who Sean Kemp is, he was a power forward for the Seattle Supersonics. One of the best. And I saw his dick in a public restroom and only one of us knows it happened. And you're trying to tell me you wouldn't take a look. Oh, the Rain Man. You're right, I'm looking. So after like 2 times of telling the story, Suzanne pulls me aside and she's like, listen, you're doing that thing that you do where you ruin my life. All the time. And you just need to get the fuck over yourself. You're a maniac. You questioned a doctor in a hospital. You brought up CVS. You're an idiot. And she just breaks me down. She's like, why don't we just enjoy this? This is our last time before we have some kid running around ruining our lives. Let's just be together and go see movies and love each other. And everything she's saying as she says it, it's just like the realization, oh my God, I've been a maniac. She's right. And it's never fun to feel that way, that you've failed somebody. But then, as she breaks me down, God damn it if she doesn't know how to bring me right back up. And she reaches out and she grabs everything that I've got. And she says, I know that you know what dicks look like. I've seen you see your dick. And it's just like she knows what to say and how to say it, you know? And we moved on. And I was so happy. All I wanted was just, of course I want a girl, of course. And then we go to our next doctor's appointment. And this time, same hospital, different doctor, older. Nobody made any phone calls to make that happen as far as Suzanne knows. And we're sitting in the room, and the doctor, this time he's doing the test, and the baby is big enough, and he can get it from the outside. And it's up on the big screens. And then I'm sitting there like, she's not being penetrated. I feel like I can finally be me, which I think that's what these appointments are about. And as I'm sitting there, he does the same thing. Freeze frame. Hey guys, great news. We got a great image of the baby. I can actually tell you what the sex is. Like, they've been taught to say it that exact way. And that's the moment when Suzanne just sees caution lights ahead, and she's like, oh, no. We don't, you don't even need to. We already know the sex. The last doctor told us it's gonna be a girl, so no need to say anything. And the doctor said, oh, okay, good. And then he looked at me. And as if he knew everything about who I am, he said, well, Nick, what do you think it is? Oh. And I just said, doctor, first of all, I want to say thanks so much for asking me that out loud. Otherwise, I was not allowed to talk. But that was a direct question. We all saw that. And I'm just going to say, we're not having a girl. We're not having a boy. We're having a man. The confidence had just risen inside of me. And in that moment, Suzanne looks at me, and she gives me this look that I think it could break down in so many ways, like, please stop talking, or how did we meet? Why did that happen? And in that moment of her giving me those looks, the voice of Jesus Christ came out of that doctor, and he said, he's right, it's a boy. And on the freeze frame, on a tablet device that he had on his lap, like an instant replay on ESPN, he circles my son's penis, draws an arrow to it, and then writes in huge letters, baby penis. And then I grabbed my phone, and I took 30 to 40 quick pics. Maybe 300 to 400, I don't know, I just hit the volume button and let it fucking ride. And then we drove home. I never mentioned one time on that drive home that I'm smarter than doctors. I didn't have to. Everybody saw what happened in that room. The new humble Nick doesn't bring it up. And then we got home, and one of us made spaghetti that night. And I always forget who. And then I recall, oh, that's right, the king made spaghetti that night. Because I'm not just right at the hospital, then I'll take it to the next level all night. You want spaghetti? Oh, yeah. If you get all that stuff out that we need and put it in what you think is the best order to cook it, because, I'll just always fire up that sauce right away, and it's like, why don't you start with the noodles, And it's just kind of something you relearn every time. Spaghetti's done, I set the table. Silverware, no one's making a trip back to the kitchen tonight. Sat her down, popped open a bottle of red wine, would the lady like a little red wine? And she's just like, I'm fucking pregnant. Do I look Italian to you? And I'm just like, shit, guess I have to drink the whole bottle. Oh, I hate it when this happens. But it goes bad over one night, so you have to. And dinner's over, we watch some TV. She's tired, she should be. She's living for two, and she puts up with me on a daily basis. Let's get in bed. Take her up to bed. She lays down. I put my pajama on, which I say, it's just a t-shirt. Because about a year ago, it hit me that a man in his mid-30s who just wears a t-shirt to bed is fucking hilarious. There's a lot of fun moments, like, hey, what's that noise outside? Or, you're running around. You wake up in the morning, hey, who's up? Turns out, not only is it hilarious, also fucking comfortable. So we go to bed. She falls asleep just like, oh, just if I was left-handed, that would be so that. She falls asleep, and right when I feel that kind of limbo out of bed, head downstairs, open up a bottle of whiskey, and I started Google searching doctors' email addresses. Looking for that doctor who said that I don't know what dicks look like. Dr. John, we'll call him, because legally I've been told not to say his name. And when you're looking for Dr. John's email address, there's no contact page on the hospital's website where they're like, oh, we want you to reach out to our surgeons and talk to them. They don't want that. You gotta go deep. You gotta go 3 hours of Google searching deep, where at one point, what happened to my t-shirt? Oh, it's in the backyard. When was I outside? And there it is on the 30th page of Google search for Dr. John's email address. There it is, a New York Times article about miscarriages, and you're goddamn right I read it. Nowhere in that article does it mention his email address. But guess what? There's 14 comments. I better take a look. 12th comment down. No words, just a link. A link to a PDF document. Something that nobody in their right mind would ever click on. A URL to a PDF. And you're goddamn right I clicked on that. And there in that PDF document was Dr. John's email address. And as we all know, you can't copy and paste out of a PDF because they just don't want you to. So you've got to handwrite that shit and then retype it into an email like our goddamn forefathers used to do. And it was a simple email, very simple. Subject line: let me know if you're hiring. Body of the email, 3 things. First thing, picture of my son's dick. Obviously. Second thing, YouTube link to a Sean Kemp highlight reel. Mentioning that I have seen the Rain Man rain down into a urinal. Under that, picture of my dick. Hand-drawn, to scale with a mountain and a sun behind it for perspective. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Portland, Oregon. Thanks for coming out.
All the way from the west. You know. From the west, let me get this on my chest. I put the bass to the test. Oh, you know that I'm the best. Yo, you know.
More bass is my name, but much more bass by nature. You will never be the same once the baseline shakes you. From the west, let me get this on my chest. I put the bass to the test. Oh, you know that I'm the best.